in the Sustainable Development Goals, we are saying we should leave no one behind and start with the farthest first.
Innovation is a key part of the recovery process.
We set up the first assistive tech accelerator in Africa to support innovators who are building technology to support persons living with disability.
Anybody who is interested in trying a person with disability in employment, contact us.
We work like thrice as hard.
We have to remember that there's 15% of the population that's being left out if your products and services are not accessible.
I'm Maria Omare. I'm the founder and executive director of the Action Foundation, and we seek to build inclusive and resilient communities where children and young people with disabilities can thrive. I started Action Foundation in 2009, so this marks my 12th year of work. We were officially registered in 2010. And Action Foundation was born out of my experiences volunteering. I often say that volunteering changed my life. So when I was pursuing my undergraduate studies at Kenyatta University, I happened to come across a poster looking for volunteers for the Special Olympics in Kenya. And someone mentioned that the opportunity comes with a stipend. And because I was broke, I signed up, but I didn't know that encounter with the children, their parents, and the team at Special Olympics would change my life. I am a trained nutritionist, and at the camp, my role was to work with the children, their caregivers, advising them on their dietary needs, hygiene, nutrition, safety issues. But within those conversations, I got to know the realities of their lives, what they experienced when it came to accessing education, accessing health services, stigma they experienced in their communities. And I felt like within my capacity as a student within KU and my circle of influence, I could do more. So Action Foundation started as a club in KU, where we would raise awareness about disability on and off campus. We would visit different children's homes that have kids with disabilities and their schools, and that was our starting journey. But after several years of doing that, we saw that there is a huge gap, in fact enormous gap, when it comes to the quality of care, quality of education that children with disabilities receive. And when I finished campus, I thought, instead of just reinventing the wheel, we would start a center that would approach working with children with disabilities differently. So yeah, 10 years later, here we are. The Action Foundation has 3 major programmatic areas. These are health and well-being, women and girl empowerment, and inclusive education. Our health and well-being program aims to provide holistic development opportunities for children with disabilities, and this comes in the form of provision of therapy services, nutritional support, supporting parents to be able to provide nurturing care, love, support to their children with disabilities. And we advocate for early intervention. That is, as soon as a parent realizes that their child has a disability. Kibera ni nyumbani. Kibera is the heart and the home of the Action Foundation. Although we do work in 4 other informal settlements and we have projects throughout the country. So why Kibera for me is, Kibera is home. I didn't grow up in Kibera, granted, but I grew up in Ngumo, which borders Kibera. And my mom, being the economist that she is, and then and now, Kibera is where I used to do my shopping for groceries, where I used to get my hair done. And till today, I still go to church in Kibera. So I found that Kibera is a soft landing because I'm familiar with the community. I have friends who live here. I know it in and out, all the 13 villages, all the corners, all the, yeah. So when it came to starting a center, it was easy to navigate and find a place to begin. This is our 12th year for me, but as a foundation, we recently turned 10 last year because you are officially registered in 2010. I'd say one of the things I'm most proud of is the community of support that we've been able to build. This sense of ownership that the community members have towards our work. It helped that when we started, I had almost nothing. In our first center, which was in Mashimoni area in Kibera, close to a place that is popularly known as Laini Saba, I only had 5,000 Kenya shillings, like 5,000. And with 5K, I could only afford like rent and deposit, which was 2,000 back then. And so I had nothing. I only had myself and an idea and an empty room. And I remember the first day when I got that padlock and locked the room, I asked myself, oh my gosh, Maria, what have you gotten yourself into? What is your plan? Because it was frightening, but it was also exciting. So, but from that small room and the first couple of children who entrusted, parents who entrusted us with their children, we grew from 5 children within the first couple of months of working there. And because of our consistency and people were amazed by the quality of work that you were providing, I don't use the excuse that we're in a slum to do mediocre or substandard quality work within our different programmatic areas. We were able to access the best when it came to orthopedic surgeons, pediatricians, occupational therapists, drama teachers. So through our networks, you were able to provide the best quality of service to the children. And within a few months, we had 40 children. And we had to even take over the pavement and the outside area of that location because we were overwhelmed. I mentioned we started with 5. Now we are working with more than 900 children across our programmatic areas and in the different informal settlements. We work with more than 120 women and girls who have a disability. We have 26 partner schools across the 4 informal settlements. The hub that we have in Kibera was built with the support of the community, and we built it during 2017. There is a model center where persons with disabilities, children with disabilities can come and receive critical services, be it mental health support, access to therapy, access to a place where they can read. We have a reading club. We also have a skills center where women with disabilities and parents of children with disabilities can come and be trained in computer literacy, hairdressing, tailoring and fashion design. So it's a space that has a lot going on. And we also make our own assistive devices. We have a workshop where we work with the parents and community members to make different special seats and play materials and other devices for children with disabilities. So how we work is by community outreach, but a lot of our clients come to us through referrals. In a week, we see more than 70 children. For 2 days, we have 2 days of therapy services. We have several days of trainings for both the parents and the children. Our reading club happens twice a week. So it's mostly through referrals. And because we have a network of partner schools, they are also able to refer children with disabilities within Kibera and beyond to come to us. Across all our programs, a huge challenge that we had and we still experience to some extent is attitudes of parents, of teachers, of community members towards persons with disabilities. And in line with our mission of building inclusive and resilient communities where children and young people with disabilities can thrive, we aim to create a shift in those attitudes through our different approaches. So the Somesha program started officially in 2014, where we saw a need of the children who we were working with in our health and well-being program. Following the therapy, now they've attained their milestones. Where do they go? It would have been heartbreaking for us to see them go back home and not engage in learning because schools were unable or didn't have the skills to interact and support them. So our Somesha program was born out of a need to transition these children to learning, mostly early years learning, that's preschool from PP1 all the way till grade 3. We initially collaborated with 8 schools in Kibera, and now we are working with 26 schools across 4 informal settlements. So the Somesha program involves teacher preparation and training on inclusive education. We have Somesha clubs across our different partner schools where children are supported to develop their literacy. Children with disabilities can have peer mentors who will work with them, because we realize that discriminatory attitudes are learned. So at Action Foundation, we seek to have the children unlearn those discriminatory attitudes by having our children's dialogue book on inclusion as a tool where children with disabilities without disabilities can understand that their peer can also learn what is autism, what is Down syndrome, how can I raise awareness about disability in my community, and that has been critical in creating inclusive environments within our different partner schools. We also have the Somesha mobile-based application, which has different e-resources for teachers and parents on inclusive education. We have different types of storybooks in different formats. Some are in sign language, others are e-books. We have audiobooks as well within the platform. Our Somesha app also has an Ask an Expert section where you can confidentially ask any question about disability and inclusive education. And within at most 24 hours, our experts who are renowned industry professionals on inclusive education will get back to you. And we also have different types of resources where a parent and a teacher can access. And our Somesha app is also close to our partner schools. We have some sections that is close to our partner schools where they can access materials following trainings. They have a community of support where they can tackle different problems that they're experiencing. So our Somesha app started in 2017 with the support of Open Society Initiative for Eastern Africa. And now we have close to 200 users who use it regularly. And we look to grow it to have more users, not just within Kenya, but across the continent.
Okay, Somesha Stories came about as it's actually part of our inclusive education program, which focuses on improving the learning outcomes for learners with disability from ages 4 to 10. And so Somesha Stories was actually a response to COVID because we realized with the school closures, there was a lot of movement to digital learning, and a lot of the content that was available did not specifically cater for learners with disability, particularly around, the hearing impaired, for example. So a lot of communication was not getting through to them. People are wearing masks, people need to wash their hands, and this information is not in a format that a learner with a hearing impairment or somebody with a hearing impairment is able to understand. And so that is how this idea of Somesha Stories came up. It was there before, but I think COVID just fast-tracked it because we realized now there's actually a need in real time to get through to these people who are not getting the mainstream information around COVID, protection and hygiene. And then it has now grown into the fun and inclusive learning concept that it is. And it's basically how to get children to learn in a fun and engaging way that caters to the different ways that you can engage a child, and particularly a child with a disability. So the visual learner, the child who's attracted by a lot of colors. How do you get a child with a hearing disability to engage in class? With support from the Undp grant, we were able to record stories And we were then able to take the stories to classrooms in informal settlements, which we were initially not able to do. So with help from the grant, we were able to train teachers on storytelling, on using fun learning activities in class. We were able to train the head teachers on just embracing digital technology and how exactly Somesha stories will help in your classroom. So we were able to get the flash drives that have the Somesha stories, because we realized much as we are engaging technology, there are those who are extremely underserved and they may not necessarily have the means to access internet, but they require the services. So the UNDP grant allowed us to then give offline access to online content.
The stories have helped him to develop sign language, also English. So when they see, they understand very fast. They integrate the story into lessons, into the English lessons, and with the school environment. So before, there were many challenges. There was no TV. So developing something good for the children that is interesting was not easy. Reading direct from the books was a challenge. Because of time, there was not enough time, but it's easier with the TV. So it's easier to see the stories from the TV than reading from the textbooks. The children understand easily because of the captions. They felt so nice. They were motivated. They liked it. Because teaching the whole day sometimes becomes so hectic and boring. But with the TV, it was so easy and motivating. So it was easy for them.
We have very good success stories from the ground. We have parents telling us that since they started watching Somesha stories with their children, they cannot have peace. The child insists when you're crossing the road, we have to look right, left, and then right again. So learning is actually happening. You know, it looks like we are watching this exciting, colorful program, but we are learning in the process. Our parents are saying, my child will not allow me to throw trash on the floor again. I have to keep it in a bin, because they watched the Somesha story on protecting the environment. And I think the positive aspect we have also is the fact that we are modeling how to showcase past children with disability positively in mainstream media. Initially, that was not the case. If you'd asked a lot of people, they only saw stories of despair and assistance, just charity stories. But now with Somesha stories, the child is seeing themselves on television and they're going to their friends and they're saying, look, I'm in a program. Wake up at 9 o'clock every Saturday. You have to watch me. And we're also proud of the fact that it has improved parental engagement in their children's learning journeys. All of the children on Somesha stories, we had to get consent from parents to allow us to have the children on video. And a few times we had to go with them to the places of recording, and they were saying, we want to go with our children. We want to see what they're doing. So they're more involved, they're more invested, and they're always asking, when next do we have a function? When can we come? And so it's helping slowly to shed this idea that my child has a disability and they cannot do anything. They are able. I am seeing them do it in real time. So they're even telling other parents now that, look, our children have disabilities, but they're capable of so much. We just need to support them, which is quite good for us. We have piloted the project in 8 schools. We have in Kibera, Kawangware, and Mukuru, around 230 children can access Somesha stories right now in an informal settlement in Nairobi.
Being inclusive in our content creation, in our innovations, benefits everyone. So I think that we have made progress, definitely, but there is still a lot to be done, and that is mostly needs to start from shifting attitudes towards why disability innovations. Why should we invest in this? Why should companies put in money? Why should innovators create funds for disability? It's because while doing so, we benefit everyone. It is not just for the person with disability.
As part of the UN family, and together with the government, every 5 years the UN and the government agree on a series of priorities under what we call the United Nations Development Assistance Framework. And what this responds to is directly the national priorities as articulated in the various development plans, Vision 2030 of Kenya, the Medium-Term Plan 3. The current UN Development Assistance Framework runs from 2018 to 2022, and focuses essentially on three broad pillars. The first one being transformative governance, the second one being human capital, and the third one sustainable and inclusive economic growth. We have a range of programs and projects that are actually addressing these issues of strengthening the resilience, looking at programs around innovation, and we're happy that we've been able to undertake a disability inclusive innovation challenge that is looking particularly at that constituency in societies that were already vulnerable before COVID, and now because of COVID have become even more. And so we feel that innovation is a critical enabler for addressing the challenges of COVID-19.
For us as UNDP, both corporately and here in Kenya, we are part of the team that is working towards the Sustainable Development Goals. And in the Sustainable Development Goals themselves, we are saying we should leave no one behind and start with the farthest first. So as part of our programming, we are ensuring that people with disabilities and all other marginalized groups are part and parcel of our programmatic interventions, both as beneficiaries, but also as core partners in the design of the intervention of the programs that we put together. We focus on a human rights-based approach. We make sure that we're contributing to livelihoods and partnerships that can make sure that we leave no one behind.
The UNDP Accelerator Lab, it's a global initiative by UNDP, and it started off as a network of 60 labs launched in 2019 with the aim of infusing the innovation culture into UNDP as we try and shift for mindset towards thinking ahead towards more complex 21st century development challenges, and trying to see how we can stay ahead of the curve when it comes to development. So currently there are 91 labs scattered across Africa, Asia, South America, and Eastern Europe. And we're all working on interconnected challenges, so we learn from each other in real time. And the way we work is very fluid, so we try and use a bottom-up approach. So learning from the innovations that are happening at the grassroots level and trying to imprint those learnings and insights into UNDP. So rather than bringing in experts from abroad to tell us what we are doing wrong or what we need to do better, how can we learn from the ways in which we're already navigating through the challenges that we're facing? And then how can we then put those learnings into ways of quickly testing and seeing, does this make sense? Is this worth investing in? So that as we can try and make maybe more safer bets, and that will hopefully help us achieve some of the development goals in a more efficient manner.